I wish the Israelites would just leave us alone.
Thought you could slip off, did ya? Y'all belong to me, and I'll make sure you never forget it, boy.
Every strike reminds you, disobey my command and suffer.
That's not gonna be on you Edomites, man. You're gonna be a part of our release therapy. You know, let me get some frustration out. Let me vent real quick. And the word vent means to let out air. Let me give me a quick release. Let me fuck these Edomites up. Then I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my day. Man, it felt good. Let me enjoy the rest of my day. You know?
This never ends. We're worked to the bone. I can't take much more.
I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly, and to the wicked, lift not up the horn. Lift not up your horn on high. Speak not with a stiff neck. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But God is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red, it is full of mixture, and he poureth out of the same. But the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them.
I wish the Israelites would just leave us alone.
But I will declare forever. I will sing praises to the God of Jacob. All the horns of the wicked also will I cut off, but the horns of the righteous shall be exalted.
Dawn of a new era.
If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the saints.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakwadash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful look out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopefully the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Shai. All right. And what I want to get into today, is dealing with E's world, is crumbling. It's a beautiful thing, and as brothers, have been reporting, on particular things, one of the common themes, that we see is that Esau's world is crumbling. Okay, and the elites, whom think that they've, got this thing figured out, all right, are scrambling, to try to establish and further their rulership, all right, because they can feel there's a slip. Okay, they can feel, the prophets waking up. Okay, is the glitch in the matrix. You see, and they have no answer for it. All right. And the things that the Lord has the prophets speaking on, these things are being spoken into existence. Okay. So what we're doing, in the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, all right, is causing, all right, uproar in this man's kingdom. Okay. The spirit of Yahweh Shai is disrupting, okay, the furtherance of the kingdom of Esau Edom. Okay. And it's going to be Yahweh Shai himself, that comes down and destroys, all right, this entire infrastructure that Esau has set up in the earth, man. Beginning with turning America, okay, into a complete desert. You see? So when you go into matter of fact, let's get this in the book of Sirach 25, you know, and we can go into this every day. You know, you're gonna get certain precepts you start to hear more often, you know, because this is a living book, you know. So when things begin to speak in real time, hey, we go to the book that explains, all right, what we're seeing. Okay, so let's go here. I'm gonna get a few precepts, and I got a few videos I want to get into, man. You know, and we should enjoy, all right, seeing Esau lose. You know, like I said, we know that Jake got to be judged. You know, the wicked of our people. Okay, and it's good to see, all right, that degenerate, all right, the degeneracy of Jake being addressed. Okay, but then how much more the source of the problem. Okay, because the degenerate nigga is a byproduct, okay, of Esau's empire. Okay, so how much more should we rejoice at the fall of the actual empire that creates the degenerate niggas, man? Okay, the Sirach 25:7 said, "There be 9 things which I have judged in my heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man to have joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy," man. You know, and we're living in some beautiful times where the Lord is allowing us to see this devil's fall. Okay, the Lord is allowing us to see this devil scramble to stay in power. Okay, but everything is working against this devil, man. Okay, he's getting ready to lose. Okay, Esau's finna lose this war. Okay, America's finna get, you know, pulverized in this war. Okay, and Yahweh Shai is coming to subdue all the heathen, man, because this whole world is under the vibration of Edom. Okay, that's why we look forward to a new earth and a new heaven wherein dwells righteousness, man. Okay, we're not here marching and protesting for a better deal within this system. Okay, no, we're here proclaiming, all right, that there's a new system on the way, all right, under the order of Yahweh Shai. Okay, so let's go here. This is Sirach 10:3. Okay, it says an unwise king destroyed his people. Okay, and we're living in the rulership of an unwise king, Esau Edom. Okay, and this kingdom has this beast system is found to be what destructive. Okay, to the people. You know, there was a time when you know, these Edomites enjoyed, you know, the perks of being an Edomite. Okay, but as these devils, you know, want to concentrate power amongst, okay, a wealthy few, okay, now their own people are beginning to suffer more and more, and it's only going to get worse. You see, you Edomites, their white privilege is gone; it's never coming back. Okay, it's waning. You see, all those perks that you had in the job market and, you know, in society, and, you know, all those little perks that you had, well, they're waning, they're diminishing because the elites, all right, are doing a controlled demolition on America, man. All these Western nations are catching hell, what you're going to get, and it's a result of an unwise king. Okay, and he has destructive systems set up. See, Westernization is a plague in the earth, man. All right, it's a literal plague of death. Okay, because it's a culture of hyper individualism, living for the moment. Okay, and no one is thinking about the next generation long term. Okay, everyone's in their own little bubble. Okay, of captivity to Esau's convenience and systems and lust. Okay, and pleasures. Okay, synthetic pleasures, man. All right. So when you read, it says an unwise king destroyed his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited, man. The city shall be inhabited. Okay, and that's going to be on the rulership of Yahweh Shai, man. Okay, and the governing body of Israel. Life is going to flourish in the earth. Okay, and we're going to get some videos to show you that life is in decline in every way. You know, being fruitful and multiply, all right, is becoming, you see, not so common. Okay, now let's go here because see this devil, you know, he presented, you know, Westernization and modern culture, you know, is this wise and super deep intellectual and, you know, this progressive way that they've transcended. And you see, it's a gimmick, it's a scam. Okay, Western culture is the biggest scam that there is, and it's meant for, all right, the super rich to stay super rich, and everyone else, okay, to be in a rat race. All right, and they call it capitalism. Okay, democracy. All right, it was an illusion of the people having some power in the government. Okay, when power, all right, rests in the hand, all right, of the oligarchs, these elite families. You see, and now it's starting to show more and more, okay, that this system is rigged, okay, and that it's destructive to the people, okay. So when you go to Sirach 19 and 22, it says, the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither at any time the counsel of sinners prudence, okay. So what he presented as knowledge and wisdom and progressive and transcending, and we've come so far, and this and that. Okay, and then the devil has all this technology that he could use to embetter, the people, but he use it to what? Manipulate, to destroy, to confuse. You see, and concentrate all the wealth to him. Okay, so let's go here. I got I said a couple of videos. Let's go here first. Because the job market is suffering. As you have, let's go here. A lot of companies can't afford to do business anymore. All right, you have a lot of AI, replacing jobs. The job market altogether is shrinking. Okay, so all these different things that are taking place. Okay, and people are suffering, man. People are crying out. And it's good. You devil, because mainly you devils. That's crying about, the American experience. Okay, so let's let this play. You got a couple more.
According to the Federal Reserve, young workers entering the job market are now facing the worst unemployment rate in nearly 40 years, with applications outpacing job openings by 400%, and with 300 million people projected to lose their jobs to AI just within the next 5 years. It raises the question, how close are we to a complete job market collapse? Well, the job market has evolved drastically throughout history, with each generation facing severe economic and cultural upheaval. The compounding effect of rapid technological expansion and the constant selling out of the future has left today's working class in a crisis unlike anything we've seen before. One of the first major issues we are facing is the consequences of reclassifying humans as consumers, as it has fundamentally changed the incentives behind our economic data, where rather than looking at the unemployment rate as a direct representation of the working class being unable to provide for their family, or the youth being unable to build a foundation that will be the backbone of the nation's future, we live in a reality where the stock market is actually banking on the fact for unemployment to get worse. So interest rates will come down and we'll be able to just drown ourselves in debt even easier. The government views the unemployment rate as fuel for re-election campaigns, as you can either blame the previous administration for all of the conflict that we're facing, or you can take credit for the reversal. One of the best ways that we can see this is the job revisions that have occurred in the past year, which now totals over 1 million jobs that were never actually created, where despite continuously being told how great the job market is, every sign that shows things are not what they appear miraculously keep getting brushed under the rug. And so then when you look at the corporate perspective, this manipulation of job data is actually being implemented into their business model. I recently just spoke with a gentleman, and he's actually going to be on the channel in my next video. He spent his entire career in tech, and he's probably like 45, late 40s, early 50s, maybe mid 50s. He got laid off from his company, or the company went under, because they were found guilty for manipulating employment data to show that they were growing for venture capitalists to get funding for their business. Since then, he has applied to hundreds of jobs, hasn't been able to get a job. He is now working hasn't been able to get a tech-related job, a job that he has had experience in for his entire career. He is now working overnight shifts at Walmart, stocking dog food on the shelves. And it's important because again, this isn't just, Gen Z just being lazy, not able to get a job if you just go out there and work harder. This is, an older gentleman that is very smart and really great to speak with and still optimistic and hopeful. And this is what he's experiencing. And I'm not stating that somebody working at Walmart doing that job is anything less. I'm just stating it isn't in alignment with his experience and his work history.
Best 200-word essay in 10 minutes will win $200.
I think I'll win.
No, I'm going to win.
What we are also finding is that businesses are actually using this as a tactic to combat each other and to get data from one another. And this is a Bloomberg report that I'm going to go ahead and share here.
So the core allegation was that senior officials at Odin Partners encouraged junior staff to phone up traders at really big banks, give fake names for themselves, fake names for Odin Partners, and try and persuade these traders to share sensitive information about P&L, salary, makeup of teams, some of which information Odin Partners would then share with its clients. So far, they're saying absolutely nothing about this on the record. Now, privately, there's some suggestion that those banks aren't concerned about these allegations at all, like one or two of these banks. So at one of these banks, there was a suggestion that there isn't a review into these allegations and they plan to keep working with Odin Partners. Another bank, there was a suggestion, well, the information, the intelligence and the contacts that Odin Partners have are just so good, just so useful.
And so what we begin to recognize is that this dehumanizing aspect of being twisted into really every which way.
So when you go into it, what they're doing, these companies, all right, they're posting these fake jobs and having people come in and interview for these jobs, but they're not actually hiring, all right, and they just want to pretty much interrogate, these potential employees about the company they just came from, so they can have sensitive data on how they can tweak, their business model, so they're using, these fake job openings as a way to bring in people from other companies, competitive companies, into the office, just to get information on how they can improve their business model based on certain information and business practices of, their competitive company. So it has nothing to do with giving people employment, because these people, these businesses now, it's all about scaling with less people as possible, scaling out with less people as possible, so you can have more profit margin, less, because when you hire a person, you have to pay their insurance, all right, you have to get this nigga paid vacations, you have to deal with the sick time and all this and all that, dealing with the women, the pregnancy, paternity leave, and all these different things, so now these employees are trying to go as much, employers are trying to deal with as much AI as possible, and they're just using, these job interviews to get sensitive information, on how to improve, their business model based off practices of their competitors, man, so it just real grimy out here, man, and if you're not a part of the super rich club, the elites, if you're not a part of certain circles, America is becoming a nightmare, all right, by the day, so let's let a little more of this play.
You look that there are incentives to improve this. I want to just give you examples, and I've said this before in my videos, but it is crucial that we begin to understand truly how little they care about people actually being the data points. So the first one is that related to ghost jobs. More than 60% created ghost jobs to make employees believe their workload would be alleviated by new workers. 62% of respondents said that they posted ghost jobs expressly to make their employees feel replaceable. 43% stated they used it to give the perception that their company was thriving despite uncertain economic conditions. So just manipulating data.
So you have three situations, okay, where you have these companies posting ghost jobs to make it seem, because you be in a job and everybody be complaining about help, because these jobs are all about maximizing for each employee. They have numbers and production quotas, based on crews or individuals or however it's broken down. Okay, and they try to just max out each person. You just a cog in a machine. You see, and there's a complaint about, them, people complain about, okay, look, we need some help. Well, they'll go and show that they have job posting, but they're not actively interviewing anyone. They just got the job posting to make it seem like, okay, we hear your complaint, okay, and we're looking for you some help, so you just continue on working thinking that they've heard your complaint, and and then you have, the other situation to where they post these jobs, to feel like you can be replaced. They have all these job openings to make it seem like they're, getting ready to hire, your replacement to get more productivity out of you. Okay. And then they also fake jobs, fake openings, okay, to make it seem that they're a growing business, because it opens them up to be able to get more grants and loans, okay, if their business is growing. Okay, so the job market has become a major scam. Okay, so there's a little more of this play, then we go to the next video.
85% go as far to interview candidates despite not actively hiring for the role. Nearly 70% of them said posting fake jobs listings boosted revenue. 65% said the job ads had a positive impact on morale. 77% reported an uptick in productivity among workers because they were scared of losing their job. 70% believe that it is morally acceptable to do this. Like, how much more disgusting can this get? These are people. These are people just trying to get a job. And we are being manipulated and deceived and all of this. And what you begin to recognize is that when you have the powers that be have absolutely zero incentive and actually be able to profit off of manipulated data, there isn't any reason for things to get better. And you can specifically see this when it's related to the job search platforms like LinkedIn or Indeed. I've already made a video, sharing my perspective on LinkedIn. What we are finding now is 2024 was one of their best years on record. They're growing at a unbelievable rate. And so why would they be incentivized to make things better? Matter of fact, the reason they're growing so much is because their premium memberships are surging. And that's because what people are finding is that you can't network without having the premium membership. And so people are spending, whatever it is, $25 to $40 a month just to be able to network. This isn't how things should be. And it's crucial that we state this. The issue is that this is often intertwined with the discourse of being lazy or whining, or, you're going to see comments that are saying that I'm just shilling for communism, that this is communist.
Yeah, so even, like with LinkedIn, you don't get any real results unless you pay the premium. You get the premium membership, and that's with everything, man. There's always some type of scam, to sign you up for some, membership. All right. So you're, LinkedIn benefits off, a high unemployment rate, because it makes their platform more desirable, so they're able to have a premium, platform to where you have to pay, so now it's so the desperation is so, bad, all right, that people have monthly subscriptions to look for a job. Okay, crazy work, man. All right, and it's getting worse. Okay, now let's hear this, man, because I say everything is becoming more and more of a scam. Okay, more and more of a gimmick. You see, and this is westernization at work. Okay, capitalism at work, man. All right, and capitalism is based on, all right, the few rich getting richer off the masses, capitalizing off the labor, okay, and the dependency of the masses, man. Okay, it has nothing to do with, all right, random. It's nothing to do with a system, okay, to where people can, climb the financial ladder. No, it's a system based off the few capitalizing. That's why I call capitalism. It's the few capitalizing off the labor and the dependency of the many. Okay, that's what the whole capitalism is based off of. Okay, now let's play this real quick.
So I just came out of the City of Burbank job fair and media expo where there were no jobs available. It was about 2,000 people, including me, holding resumes, and a bunch of tents of people, I guess, promoting their businesses, I guess, and no one was hiring at all, including the company that just laid me off. About 100 people in line to talk to them, and then there was just like a lady from there being like, if you're trying to drop off a resume, just go online, it's all online. I talked to a lady from the Burbank Library. She's like, we're here to answer questions about the library. And I was like, okay, are you guys hiring? And she was like, I don't know, go online. Anyway, it was awful and demoralizing, but I did it. I gave it a try. I can say I tried. Do better, City of Burbank.
Americans are giving.
And so that's crazy. She went to a job fair, and none of the companies there was hiring at the job fair, but they was promoting their business. They were promoting the product to you. They were trying to get customers. See, these businesses are searching for customers. Okay, so she's there at the job fair with a resume, and they're trying to sell her a product. Okay, they're trying to make her a customer, offer her a service. You see, and that's a job fair. All right, and then a lot of times too, people just forward you to the internet. All right, so now you're just, and then they got, and guess what's choosing the applications on the internet? AI. Okay, it's just gonna keep getting worse, man. The job market, is crashing before our eyes, man. Okay, American, the working class, all right, is getting ready to suffer. Okay, in the coming months and years, man. Okay, because it only gets worse because they want people, okay, to be desperate for any type of normalcy, man. And they're setting it up for the universal basic income. That's going to look like a hero, which you're going to have to do what? Get that C-hip. Okay? So this devil is setting it up for people to be extremely desperate out here, man. Okay? And that C-hip is going to look like salvation, especially if it's linked with the UBI, the universal basic income. Okay? So let it play a little more.
Giving up on the job market in 2025. And honestly, it is absolutely insane, guys. She went to a job fair and nobody in that entire fair was hiring, right? Like so many people were trying to promote their business, trying to, grow their profits or whatever the case is. Nobody actually truly was there to do what the fair was supposed to be there for. And I even watched a follow-up video. She also found it and concluded that a lot of those people there were only there to promote their business because it is some kind of tax credit or tax write-off for their business or deduction or something like that. But at the end of the day, it is really, really insane to see what is going on right now. And I make these videos because, people want to know what it's like out there within corporate America. And I've been given so much advice, like I've been saying different things, right? And I honestly have come to the conclusion that the things I have even advised don't even work as much as I think they work. They've worked for me in the past, but for other people out here within the fields, it's actually not even working for them. But anyways, I'm gonna let the video speak for itself. I got more in here that are gonna blow your mind. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well for more great content like this. Let's get to the rest of the video.
My favorite part about being unemployed and job hunting is that everyone thinks that they have the secret key. They have the thing that you haven't thought of, you know? So it's like, hey, I've been really struggling to find a job. And they're like, have you tried going in person? Yeah, I've tried going in person. They just tell me to apply online and then I never hear back from them. Oh, well, have you tried to go directly to the careers website? I have done that. I've heard absolutely nothing back. Oh, have you tried getting networking or, you know, meeting people that work there? I have tried many jobs where I know somebody who works there and they still weren't able to get me in. You know, you should probably get a part-time job while you're looking. Have you tried to apply for like a McDonald's or like a barista job? You could do that to be making some money on the side while you're looking. I've applied. Yeah. Even with a full degree, these places are not hiring. Oh, you probably just, I don't know. Something just tells me that you just don't actually want to work. And that's the reason you can't find a job, because I definitely could have found one if I were you. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the experience for a lot of people. Why even?
And that's another thing too. All right, these people that went and got these degrees, you know, you went in debt to go get these degrees. All right, and those degrees don't matter. You know, most degrees that people get, all right, they don't make a return on their investment that they could. When you go get a degree, you're investing in their degree, and a lot of these degrees are not even you know, valid. All right, because the job market is changing so much due to AI and, you know, corporations, you know, changing up, you know, their model with less people, okay, and more AI software, okay, to people going to get these degrees. Well, they're worthless. A lot of these degrees are worthless, man. Okay, but it's been, you know, shoved down the throat of, you know, Western culture, you know, that a college degree is one of the greatest achievements you can have in life. You know, is to graduate college, but it has nothing to do, okay, with securing, you know, a income, okay, that has been detached. But these colleges, they're not going to tell you like, look, well, this degree is worthless now. No, they're going to take your 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 you're going to give them. They're going to give you the degree, all right, and send you right down the assembly line, all right, and bring in the next batch of dummies, all right, to constantly make them rich, give you a worthless piece of paper, okay, and now you're on TikTok complaining about you can't find a job, okay. Now I want to segue here because this is Greece, which is one of the 10 horn, all right, nations, okay. When you go into this beast system, and this is the problem they're having, man. You know, with their population, man, because going back to Western culture, okay, it's a culture of death. Okay, and you know, it had its moment and it was cute, but now we're seeing, all right, the results, the fruits of westernization really taking place, man. Capitalism, westernization, all right, Satanism, which is embedded in this society. Okay, so let's play this dealing with Greece. These are Edomites. You got Jake everywhere, you know, but this is an Edomite government.
Empty villages, burdened workforce, and now shuttered schools. It's been years since Greece ended its painful economic crisis, but now the country is facing another emergency, a population decline. Greece's population could shrink by 25% by 2070. People are not having enough babies. So Elon Musk has predicted the death of Greece, and the country has decided to shut schools, hundreds of them, because there are not enough children to fill the classrooms. Well, this may sound strange, but Greece is not the only country that is facing this predicament. Here's a report.
Greece is in crisis, and we are not talking about the economic one. The country is facing a population crisis. Projections suggest that by 2070, Greece's population could shrink by as much as 25%. This is way above the European average of 4%. In 2022, the country recorded less than 77,000 births. It was the lowest in almost a century. In 2023, deaths nearly doubled that number, reaching 140,000. Given the urgency of the issue, the Greek government established its first ever ministry dedicated to tackling the demographic challenge in 2023. But things haven't changed. Greek women now have their first child at an average age of over 32. And fertility rate, meaning the number of children per woman, has fallen to 1.35. This is among the lowest in Europe.
And you go into it, they say the average woman is having a child at plus 32. Okay. And you know, with Western culture, well, what does a woman use her 20s to do? Okay, to wild out. You see, to do her, to play the field. Okay, and one thing I looked up, they were speaking on this. Okay, because they're not just starting to have sex at 32. Okay, but I looked up was abortions legal in Greece? All right, I said, is abortion legal in Greece? And they not gonna talk about that part. Okay, say yes, abortion is legal in Greece under defined conditions. Since July 3rd, 1986, Greece has allowed abortion on request up to 12 weeks of pregnancy, man, to the third, all right, the third month, okay, up to 19 weeks, okay, which is 4.5 months, okay, if pregnancy results from rape, incest, or sexual abuse, including cases involving minors. And see, they can just say they were great. Okay, and then, they can just lie. All right, and then it said up to what this is, up to 24 weeks. Okay, in the case of fetal abnormalities at any stage, if there's a serious continuous threat to woman's physical or mental health or risk of her life, man. So abortion, okay, is fairly easy, okay, in Greece. Okay, you best believe this plays, all right, a major part in their population. Okay, and then Esau is not, they're fertile anyway. You know, he's nowhere near as fertile as Jake. Okay, but you best believe that, because Greece is nothing but another Western, all right, society. Okay, that's why they're so liberal with particular things. A lot of these actors and celebrities that was, being called out for, being sexual predators, where they would go to Greece, where they had real lax laws, including, that was going into, sexual predators. Now they've tightened up since 2021. I was looking it up since 2021. So Greece has tightened up their laws, supposedly, because they got a lot of scrutiny because of how lax their laws were when it came to certain, sexual predators, man. Okay, it says bottom line, Greece has relatively liberal abortion policies, especially compared to many other countries in Europe. Okay, so you think that doesn't have nothing to do with their population being, the slowest growing in Europe, and they have the most lax, all right, abortion laws in Europe. All right. It said this law is precise and provides access in cases beyond the first trimester, man. Okay. So you best believe, a lot of these women, these Western women in Greece, okay, they do what the Western women in America does. They use their 20s, all right. They're sexually liberated, okay. They play the field, all right, and then they start to hit their wall, and then, they try to find them a beta male provider, and then begin a family. Okay, have a child or two maybe, and then this society, All right, it's not convenient to have children, because we just read about, we just went into the job market. Okay, because this is not just only in America. These EU nations are suffering economically, okay, mentally. You see, there's a lot of suffering of Western culture, man. Okay, Greco-Roman culture, okay, is failing the world. Okay, and especially in these countries, all right, of the EU and America, man. Okay, so let's go back here. uh,
And from empty maternity wards to classrooms, the reality is staring at everyone. According to data from the Ministry of Education, the number of students in primary education has fallen by more than 100,000 in the past 7 years. It is a 19% drop. So now, Greece is shutting down more than 5% of its schools. Given the steep decline in childbirth, there are not enough pupils. So more than 750 schools will suspend operations for the new academic year. It is so shocking that Elon Musk has unsurprisingly predicted the quote-unquote death of Greece. While that is an exaggeration, this country is not an isolated case. Japan is going through something similar. It is shutting schools, especially in rural areas. And this year, South Korea almost 50 schools, all thanks to the worsening birth rate crisis. From Asia to Europe, North to South America, country after country is battling a population emergency. According to the UN, the world fertility rates are in unprecedented decline. Fewer children born means fewer workers, meaning labor shortages and slower economic growth. A population decline creates an aging society, which also puts more pressure on social welfare. But why is this happening? According to the UN, financial burden is the biggest reason why people aren't having kids. Specifically, 39% people don't have enough money to raise children. 22% people cannot afford the ideal housing to raise kids, and 18% cannot afford reliable childcare. These are big issues. Government after government has tried to solve them, mostly by throwing money at the problem. For instance, by giving baby bonuses, but it rarely works. For instance, China has been giving cash handouts to new parents for years now, but their population has shrunk for a third consecutive year. After all, fixing the fertility crisis takes more than this. People need more jobs, better wages, better childcare facilities, affordable education, and so on. Experts say that a range of societal issues are hurting the global population. Until governments work on creating a better social welfare structure, people will keep delaying marriage and having fewer children. The issue is spiraling, and if nothing changes, shuttered schools are just the beginning of bigger problems to come.
And real quick, because it spoke about Japan and South Korea. All right, well, let's take a look. All right, it never fails. So let's go here. So I asked the chat, this Japan and North Korea take on, all right, Western philosophy. Okay, and it says yes, Japan and South Korea, all right, yes, like South Korea, have both adopted aspects of Western philosophy. Okay, now when you get into it, say historical timeline. This is Japan. Okay, Western influence. It says the Meiji Restoration from 1868 to 1912. Japan aggressively modernized by importing Western science, military practices, and philosophies to avoid colonization and compete, all right, globally. Okay, so this is back in the 1800s, early 1900s in Japan. Okay, was being all right, westernized. Japan was westernized before China. It says Western, especially American ideas like democracy, individual rights, and capitalism were further embedded partly through U.S. occupation. Okay, so it is these countries that are suffering from a population crisis, not being able, to replace, okay, the the current generation. Well, these philosophies that they've taken on is philosophies of the West. Okay, you see, and you go here. What's this? Let's go to South Korea. All right, you got they merged Western philosophy with Zen Buddhism. you see, all right, Buddha. All right, you got a makeover, got a Western makeover. You see, this is South Korea. It said late 19th century, Western missionaries introduced Christianity. Oh boy, and it went downhill from there. Western education and liberal ideas. Post-Korean War, U.S. military presence and aid deeply. All right, these nations getting in bed with the whore. Their U.S. aid. All right, and it caused them what to commit adultery with the whore. Okay, to get in line with this whore. Okay, it says U.S. military presence and aid deeply influenced South Korea's political and economic system. Okay, Western Democrat values, this is the 80s and 90s, were a guiding force, okay, in protest and reforms. And see, the West fabricate these protests, all right, to make it seem like the nation wants to be westernized. Is It says Christianity plays a major role. About 30% of South Koreans are Christian, and Christian philosophy shapes ethics, education, and civic life, man. And he has done a mighty work with Christianity, man, and bringing forth Western thought. Okay, because that's why Christians are more pro-American than pro-Bible. You look at Christians, they're more pro-American, pro-Edomite, pro-modern culture than they are with the principles of the Bible. When you go into the Bible, okay, it says capitalism and liberal democracy adopted under U.S. influence, but with strong state involvement. All right, so yeah, just to show you, all right, these countries that are suffering, well, they've all got in bed with the whore. Okay, and this is why the scriptures say what they say when you go here. Um, let's go to the book of Jeremiah. We'll get there in Revelation. This is Jeremiah 51:7. It says, Babylon have been the golden cup in the Lord's hand. They have made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken her wine thereof. All right, therefore the nations are mad. Okay, in this golden cup, because golden cup, represents a standard. Okay, and America established its culture as a standard of the earth. It's like it was the best culture of the earth, and it dressed it up good. So on the outward appearance, the cup, this golden cup has a alluring outward appearance. Okay, it's attractive on the outside. Okay, but then when you look into, you see the cup, what's in it is full of abominations. Okay, that's why even you go to the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter. All right, just the book of Revelation, chapter 17. I'm gonna jump down. Yep, it says, Revelation 17:1 says, and there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show thee the judgment of the great whore who sitteth on many waters, okay, which is America, with whom the kings of the earth had committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunken with the wine of her fornication, man. Okay, which fornication goes back to spiritual idolatry in this context. Okay, because these nations have taken on the spirit of rebellion. All right, that America is in, the whore is in. Okay, and these nations have taken on Western ways and Western culture, which is a complete rebellion to righteousness. Okay, and they're drunken with it. You see, and when you're drunk, you can't function efficiently. Okay, and now you're seeing these nations begin to what stagger. Okay, like America. You see, and this is why ultimately the Lord is getting ready to destroy this place, man. Okay, and Lord, you know, Edom's kingdom is falling, man. Okay, it's a complete failure in the earth. All right, this Greco-Roman, all right, revival in the earth has been a complete failure, man. Okay, this is Revelation 19:2. It says, "For true and righteous are his judgments, for he have judged a great whore, okay, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and have avenged the blood of his servants at her hands." So this uh whore, all right, is charged with what? Corrupting the earth with their spiritual rebellion. Okay, you know, women's liberations, and you know, capitalism, which is a false balance. You see, the freedom of religion to where just any wickedness goes. Okay, all these different things, if they push throughout the earth, all right, the alphabet, pushing the alphabet throughout the earth. Okay, all these things are spiritual rebellion, and the Lord is going to judge America because America has been, all right, this wicked influence, okay, in the earth, and that's why you can go here to Revelation 18, Revelation 17, 18, and 19, go hard on the whore, okay, and it says in this Revelation 18:1, after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of unclean bird. So the scriptures repeat the destruction of America over and over again, man. Okay, and it always goes into why. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies, man. So for conforming to the Western culture, all right, conforming to the ways of the whore, open you up to perks in the global market. Okay, but that lifestyle, all right, that she presented as the way to be, okay, as a culture, is now, all right, destroying everyone that has taken that culture on. Cause like when you're drinking, there's a time when you're in your mirth, you're feeling good, you relax, you know, you're cool, you're good. But then it comes a point to where, hey, you go too far, and then you begin to feel the effects of going too far. And now that's where we at with these nations. They're feeling the effects, okay, of being in bed with the whore, okay, and no one is going to feel it more, okay, than the whore, okay, itself. You see, over here in America, man. So Esau's world, all right, his global government is crumbling. And he thinks that he's still in control and that he's going to do a controlled demolition and build back better. Okay. And nah, man, the Lord is finna throw this place down once and for all. You see? So that's the point. Matter of fact, let's get this real quick since I said that. Let's get this in Malachi 1 and 4. I'm reading NLT. Okay, as I said, you know, this is Malachi chapter 1, verse 4. Let me see what's NLT. Yeah, this is Malachi 1 and 4. It says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return. Hold on. Thank you, sweet. Okay. Yep. Malachi 1 and 4 in the NLT said, Esau's descendants in Edom may say, we have been shattered, but we will rebuild the ruins. But the Lord of heaven armies replies, they may try to rebuild, but I will demolish them again. Their country will be known as the land of wickedness, and their people will be called the people with whom the Lord is forever angry. Okay? So these devils, all right, as they, been rebuilding since the Renaissance, and now they plan on to build better. Well, now this is the time the Lord's going to demolish them again. Okay, and this is the land of wickedness, man. And wickedness, the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. Okay, and we're seeing Greco-Roman, all right, philosophies and the era of enlightenment, the age of enlightenment, all this shit is failing. Okay, so that's the point, Lord will, all right, brothers, all right, and you sisters edified till next time. I say shalom, Kwam Yashala, a Bible, Shalom.